Okay, go ahead, and I'll edit it later.
So Tesla is gonna go much, much higher. That's about the end of the story. You can start and end with that. And so is MicroStrategy, and so is TSLL.
Okay, so um, let's talk about how we got there and predictions. So um, it's been a long time since we made one of these videos, and um, it's definitely been a very wild journey over the last few years. We've been right about some things, wrong about some others. Uh, Personally, I obviously hope that things go up. I'm optimistic about the short term, not optimistic about the intermediate, and optimistic about the long term. So that's kind of my hypothesis.
Well, I'm optimistic about short term, like super optimistic about short term, super optimistic about intermediate as well as long term.
Okay. So we'll talk about Tesla TSL first. Personally, we're looking back. We went back and looked at the last two elections. First, Trump election or win was not good for Tesla. Um, so at that time, Elon and Trump were not BFFs. I think that relationship will come to an end. That's just me. That's my prediction. Both are volatile, and but in the short term, it's there, and it is what it is. Biden election was very good for Tesla. So I think change in general seems to shake things up and cause some positive motion, at least at this stage of where we're at.
Well, when Biden was elected and came to office in January of 2020, that's 2021. So Biden election was in November of 2020. Tesla ran up from November of 2020 straight into January of 2021. When Biden took office in January of 2021, that's when Tesla went into a long sideways down movement for most of 2021 until its stage one final rally ending on November 4th or 5th of 2021, and then it was downhill from there. So how
What
is
was the
Biden good
biggest?
for
I didn't say
Tesla?
Biden was good. What happened during that time period had nothing to do with politics. That had to do with Elon Musk taking his priorities to X instead of staying there and hunkering down at Tesla. So, I mean, X was not good for the stock. And so we need our CEO's attention at the company that they're running. Now, Tesla's doing a very good job of running things regardless at this point in time. So I think that we can really the timing there is very evident when it became vanity project to take over social media company, the same social media company that was censoring his tweets. What am I going to do? I'm going to buy that said social media company. So yeah, I mean, when the attention's diverted, it's not good for shareholders. So I mean, there's a lot of factors. But personally, I would like to see more earnings calls like the one that we just had, where the CEO is very engaged, is talking about business,
Right.
not about politics. We're getting numbers, we're getting excited about the future. There's no smoke and mirrors. It's just, a good old fashioned earnings call where we're talking about the projection of Tesla. I was very much less than impressed with the Wii robot for many, many reasons, and we can go over that at a later time. But I was impressed with the earnings call, and I felt very bullish after hearing it. That's what we need to see as we're investing in this company. We need to see more earnings calls like that, where we're telling the investors what they want to know and what's important to the longevity of Tesla and AI.
All right, well, it's fine.
So I think, I'm optimistic that it will go up as we were talking about. I don't think we're anywhere near topped at all. Like it's been waiting for this and it should continue to go up.
Well, first of all, let me clarify what I think. Tesla was never about smoke and mirrors. Tesla has always been extremely transparent about the products it puts out. I mean, most transparent company in the world, in my opinion. So there's zero smoke and mirrors with Tesla. Now, from a technical standpoint, Tesla is just starting to take off. We are like in very first beginning stages of takeoff. If you look at the Tesla daily chart, it's showing a classic pen stroke pattern. Like the chart goes down on earnings, it gaps up, goes up. Then there's a classic pullback, which was very long. It was like lasted 6 days on declining volume, and then off it gaps up again. So it is, excuse me, two gaps, a gap superimposed on another gap within a short span of time, and the volume is phenomenal. It's just taking off. So my prediction is, and this is not investment advice, this is not financial or any kind of personal advice to anybody. My personal opinion is that Tesla is going to hit anywhere between 500 to 600 or 650, maybe even close to $700 a share within the next 8 to 12 weeks. And then there'll be a pullback. But I also think that eventually Tesla, within the next probably 1.5 years to 2 years tops, is going to be $1,000 to $1,300 stock, could even go to $2,000 a share. And I can explain later if you want me to why I think so.
So I'm a little more conservative. I think in the weeks to come, we're looking at a max $400 strike price for Tesla. That's just my prediction. I'll say it again. I think that when we get up to a certain percentage, Elon will do something to cause a temporary pullback. Mark my words. I don't know when it's going to be. There will be something because it's inevitable. History repeats itself. It's a pattern of behavior that has happened every time. Does that mean it's going to be a long-term pullback? No, it never is, but it will happen. So I do see us crossing the 300 mark potentially this week, if not even today.
I think it's about to cross.
Today.
It's at $299.14.
Perfect. So that's what we talked about last night. As I predicted last night that it would cross today.
Well, let's see what Federal Reserve says at 1 o'clock Central. And if Federal Reserve is
We've
as
got
expected, then,
2
it'll cross
hours till then.
300.
It could cross. I mean, it could cross 300 in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, their stock is going clearly parabolic.
But I think, for the time being, 400 is a good conservative measure. Some of my concerns that will cause a temporary pullback are going to be people selling for taxes. I don't know when people are planning to sell for taxes, but that is a concern.
Right.
As I said in previous videos, people needing cash for holidays. And then also people being, pretty starved out from other time periods, depending on where they went in on the stock or how long they've been holding. I think there's some great buying opportunities that'll come up. I don't think it's too late for people to go into Tesla at all. Like, I think that if it's something you're considering going into TSL or going into Tesla, by no means are you chasing it at this point. You can wait for a pullback, but conservatively, you could also, you could go in now and you're still going to make a good profit.
It's not a financial advice. It's not any kind of investment advice. It's not any personal advice to anybody. So I have some ideas about tax loss selling. There is going to be zero tax loss selling in Tesla. And I'll tell you exactly why there will be a zero or near zero tax loss selling. Because look at the Tesla yearly chart. How much is Tesla up year to date? 20.5% at a stock price of $299.43. Tesla is up exactly 20%, 20.5%. Okay, compare it to how much other stocks are up this year. It's a moot point. If you look at MicroStrategy, how much is MicroStrategy is up 321% year to date. How much is Nvidia up? Nvidia is up 199%. How much is lowly Apple up? Lowly Apple is up like almost 18%. How about
But how
Amazon?
does this affect the taxes?
Amazon is up 38%. Well, how does it not affect the taxes? If you don't have much profits, why are you
It
gonna
depends
worry
on when
about?
people went in, though. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, whatever.
So, or what they're selling. Like, I mean, some people, if they sold off, it depends. If they're long term, no. But I'm just saying each individual circumstances is different.
Zero tax loss selling in Tesla.
Okay. So,
No, I take it back. If Tesla goes up between now and year end to $500, $600 a share, you bet there will be a tax loss selling. So, I mean, it will be a
That's what I'm
self-fulfilling
saying.
prophecy. Yeah, so
I'm
if
not talking about right now, today.
right.
No, I'm talking about, no, I'm talking about future. And if you're in TSLL and you're getting dividends, I mean, you're going to have to pay taxes on dividends if they're not in a taxable form. But if they're in a non-taxable.
Yeah, it becomes a high class problem.
So
Right.
regardless, so we're a little bit,
Are you bullish MicroStrategy?
yeah, we can move on to MSTR. Yeah, I mean, Michael Saylor is doing what I want him to do. I mean, he's on interviews and he's talking about micro strategies and he's talking about Bitcoin. He's not talking about, a bunch of things that really have nothing to do with his job. So I personally am optimistic. I'm not a big Bitcoin person. Like, frankly, like I was pretty skeptical of Bitcoin a few years ago, and we probably even have a video as such where I indicated that I was skeptical on Bitcoin. Ironically, this time that I said I was skeptical on Bitcoin is when it had its big downfall, so
Really?
rightfully so. But
Well,
now,
I'm extremely bullish. on
now
Bitcoin.
I'm optimistic. Unless, I mean, this HBO documentary got me a little bit scared with Satoshi and who he is and the conspiracy theories there. But I mean, I'm a natural skeptic, so that did make me a little scared. But end of the day, what MSTR is doing makes sense. It's a brilliant strategy, and what I really think people need to realize is with MSTR, earnings calls are useless. That makes absolutely no difference. What's going to really impact MSTR is come January when their Bitcoin assets hit the books, and you can see them as part of the evaluation of the company. Do you agree?
Say that again.
When January comes and the Bitcoin holdings are presented as assets
Yeah.
on MSTRs.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly a huge catalyst, but market is already anticipated and priced it in.
S&P 500 or
Market. Okay, so here's what everybody who's in the know on MicroStrategy has already priced it in, but ironically, most of Wall Street is probably still very skeptical. So once they see that with FASB, suddenly the profits it swings from loss to huge profits, like God knows how much, $300 a share or whatever, some crazy number. It's gonna they'll handily beat the earnings, and once they handily beat the earnings, that's gonna. Can you turn it off? Yeah. They'll handily beat. Okay, let me restate the whole thing. They'll handily beat the earnings, and nobody would be expecting it, not Wall Street, and that's going to propel the stock much higher. Then it will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will be a virtuous cycle, like George Soros's whatever that thing, self-reinforcing loop is. So then it'll be included in S&P 500. And before that, it'll be included in NASDAQ 100 before the year is over. So MicroStrategy is bullish, but I'm like most bullish on Tesla, followed by MicroStrategy, and then if Vuori ever comes,
that'll be our that's my exit strategy. So Vuori comes, I'm going all in. And
okay.
So that's that. If you are not familiar with Vuori, please look it up. And if you do have any information about when that might happen or any pre-IPO, I'm very interested and would love to hear from you in the comments on that, because Vuori, there's going to be unlimited possibility to do early investment there, and that's something I personally find very appealing. Kudla is a phenomenal CEO, and I'm watching it closely. But Yeah, we can talk about WeRobot in another video.
Well,
And
you were very right about on shoes, about
yeah,
tariffs.
unfortunately, because I love On, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but-
So I did predict. I love. We're big fans of On. We've been wearing On shoes since 2017, long before they were popular. We tend to be looking for these things on our European trips, and extremely optimistic about the company, and it was right about On. But what I said was On was not going to perform particularly well depending on this election, because On is a Swedish-based company, and tennis shoes are one of the things that the tariffs were going to go really high on. So unless you plan to make trips to Europe to buy the shoes, which I highly recommend, they do have better models. Then that's not as great for ON. Now Vuori is a U.S. company, so I don't know how those tariffs are going to work if it's goods that are that's beyond my scope of knowledge, but I don't see it as a good thing for athletic wear. Additionally, I was right about RDDT. And
oh yeah, Reddit, you were absolutely phenomenally right.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
my Reddit was sold against my will.
I'm sorry,
But
I apologize.
it was sold, and
Yep. It was my bad.
It's not that the thing is, I'm not really sentimental about any of these companies, with the exception of Vuori. They're means to an end. There's things I like, things I don't like, but regardless, I am. It's usually easy to predict human behavior and patterns and what you're seeing.
But the good thing about Vuori is, if they come IPO in the next few months, tariffs would already be priced into the stock. So if there is if they are exorbitant
they're already accounting
tariffs,
for it. I mean, they've got SoftBank backing them, so they're looking at all of these growth.
SoftBank has banked losers also. So.
They have, but I mean, I'm saying they would have already been looking at
WeWorks
this before.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Before looking at but WeWorks didn't have Kudla, so I
agree. Vuori is going to be a great IPO, and I'm like extremely.
And I hope the
bullish about
founder
it.
stays the CEO. That's one.
Oh, I'm sure.